Friends, welcome to this edition of the Synod podcast. And my guest today is Maggie McDonald, singer and singing teacher extraordinaire. Maggie, you're here because you were very recently a contributor to our workshop on music with a mission, which I personally thoroughly enjoyed. And so I'm greatly looking forward to being able to sit down and talk to you further about all things musical.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to be here.
Good. I hope you feel that way by the end of it. Let me start by saying we know you in the Synod as a Greenmount elder. Mm-hmm. I remember you singing in Bolton.
Yes.
For the URC's 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
You play the organ at Greenmount Church.
Yes.
You sing regularly in all sorts of contexts and you lead worship.
Yeah.
But there is a whole other life that you have as a singer and singing teacher. Mm-hmm. So tell me something of that.
I must admit, Greenmount does have to put up with me in lots of different guises. But yes, I've been so lucky that I studied at the Royal Northern College of Music. And in my postgrad year, I went off to, I think it was my apprenticeship, basically, at Glyndebourne Opera. And had a wonderful time there and working with just fabulous conductors. It was so exciting. And I used to stand at the side of the stage when I wasn't actually meant to be on the stage and just watching these wonderful, magnificent people singing and conducting and the sound of the orchestra. It was thrilling. It was such a wonderful opportunity for a young singer.
Yeah.
And then from there, I moved on to Opera North in Leeds, and we were getting through about 12 operas a year. But within me, there was still something that I felt was calling to me, and it was my love of the oratorio and sacred music, and doing recitals as well. And so I knew I had to make a decision at some point to go what we call freelance, which is a bit scary, but I did it, and I was delighted to start getting some concert work, which I absolutely love doing, and such a variety of music as well, and doing some recordings and things. And then I started teaching as well. And I got involved with Huddersfield Polytechnic, which is now the university. And then I was asked by the Royal Northern to go back and teach there, and the Royal Scottish Conservatoire. Yeah. And then I'm also vocal coach at the Halle Choir in Manchester, and then also the Sheffield Philharmonic Chorus. And so I'm very, very blessed to be doing so many things that I absolutely love with a passion. I did sing for Prince Charles when he was Prince Charles back in Braemar Village Hall when he was staying at Balmoral, and I was doing a small chamber version, if you can imagine, the chamber version of Don Carlos by Verdi, just with piano accompaniment, but it was put on by Scottish Opera on tour. And I was wearing this sort of strapless gold sequin dress. And I had to move from one side of the stage to the other, which meant that I had to go round the back of the hall into the garden area and walk round in the darkness to get to the other side of the stage and come on there. What I hadn't planned for was that all the police were around the back of the hall in the garden area with the dogs. So that was a bit scary to be confronted in an evening dress and everything else and high heels, to be confronted with this lovely hairy German Shepherd dog. But I was missing my dog at home because I was on tour. And I said, "Oh, am I allowed to come towards the dog?" And they said, "Oh, yes, absolutely. Give him a cuddle. He'd love that." So there I was, cuddling this lovely big hairy dog. And I said, "What's his name?" And the policeman said, "Psycho." And I was like, ah! So I jumped back and realised I really should get on with the opera. And so I went back on stage. But it was wonderful to meet him because he obviously loves music and thoroughly enjoyed the performance.
Right. So you got to sing for the artist formerly known as
It's Prince, exactly. Yes, exactly.
So Maggie, when did you first know you wanted to bring other people into it?
I think, well, it was right from the very start. I was lucky to, blessed to be part of a family that was faith-based and church-based, and also very much making music in church and elsewhere. And so I was so used to music in the house. I was so used to Mum playing the piano and everything. And I decided it was a good idea at the age of, about 8 to 10, that I would put on concerts for charity. And I even got staging from my junior school and put it up in our lounge and things, and then put on concerts,
Wow.
all for charity. And then as a teenager, I got together, my friends, 4 of us, 4 girls in the 6th form, but we decided to start a little folk group of our own. And 3 of them could play the guitar, and they were playing the guitar, and we sang in 4-part harmony and everything else. So it was Simon and Garfunkel and all sorts of things like that we were singing. And we went semi-pro, even though we were in the middle of doing our A-levels.
Do you play the guitar?
I tried for a while, but I must admit, I started at school on the recorder, and then I moved on to piano and violin. And everybody thought that I would become a music teacher and that I would teach piano and violin. And then one day when I was playing the piano and accompanying myself because I wanted to sing some songs, I realised I had a light bulb moment of, I want to be a singer.
Right.
And I told my piano teacher, and he very kindly went through some songs with me. And then I did an audition, a kind of consultant audition at the Royal Northern College of Music. And
Great.
I sang for them. And I was lucky enough to be invited to do a degree course there, which I did. And it was while I was doing my postgraduate there that I then went off to Glyndebourne and then ended up teaching in as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, one of the things that struck me the other day at the Music with a Mission workshop was you talking about the voice, the human voice, as an instrument, which
yes.
intrigued me. Say something more about that.
I think maybe it's because of my musical background that I have a way of analysing certain things and understanding the physiology of this amazing instrument called the singing voice that is part of us. It's the only living, breathing instrument I know of, and the only instrument that is used in various different ways 24 hours of every single day. And so we have to be very aware of how to look after it and how to treat it in such a way that the larynx is kept happy and healthy. And so I've done a lot of study and research, like an awful lot of other people, to make sure that when we are singing and using our voices, we're doing so in the best possible way. And the best possible way to also allow their own unique voice to come out as well, so that they feel that they're really singing with their own instrument.
Quick question that's just occurred to me. Are you one of these people who believes that pretty much anybody can actually sing or could learn to sing?
If one has a voice, then one can learn to sing. It depends what kind of level we're talking about. But one also has to be aware of people being able to sing in tune, because that is another skill. And some people actually can have some wonderfully resonant voices, speaking voices, and as well, and then actually have a problem with tuning. I know people talk about the phrase tone deaf. It is that they're not relating what they're hearing to what they're then going to produce as a sound or a note.
So if you've got somebody who cannot sing in tune, I'm assuming that you can go some way to teaching them how to sing in tune. And is that primarily about how to listen to music and hear it, or is it about how to use their voice to produce those sounds?
It's all of that, but primarily it's about sorting out their hearing and how the brain is connecting in with the hearing to then allow us to create the sound and to sing a note. I was absolutely amazed when I was doing some of my research at the Wythenshawe Voice Clinic, had an endoscope put down so they could have a look at my vocal cords. And they asked me to just listen to some notes. And they played different notes on the keyboard and said, don't sing. And the amazing thing was that on the big TV screen that I could see my vocal cords, which was fascinating. I realized that as soon as they played a note on the piano and then played another one, I could see how my larynx started to move, how it stretched my cords to sing a higher note, but I wasn't actually singing. So just by hearing the sound, my larynx was already preparing to sing those notes.
Isn't that
It was
intriguing?
incredible, absolutely incredible. And that's when I realized just how important it is that we are hearing things accurately.
That's amazing. And you've said that each of us has a unique voice, almost in the same way that we have unique fingerprints.
Yes.
So for you as a vocal coach, what are you doing? What are you setting out to do if you want to teach somebody how to sing?
So we work physically first, and then we connect in with the whole body. After we've worked on posture, we connect in all our muscles working for the breathing, and we think about how we breathe. And then once we've done all of that and warmed all of that up, we then start producing notes and actually start singing some vocal exercises. And then we move into some studies and finally, we get into singing songs and repertoire.
So I'm really intrigued by this notion of the uniqueness of each singer's voice. It's said of Michelangelo that when he looked at the marble, the block of marble, he saw David in that marble and saw his job as to liberate David from the marble. Yeah. When you hear somebody singing, is there that sort of experience? You can hear the voice that's in trying to get out, as it were.
Yes, I can certainly hear the potential, and I then start to understand the journey that they're going to go on. And sometimes I just ask them to trust me. There are times when you do feel as if you're actually liberating people's voices. It is very exciting when you start to hear somebody's voice emerging. And that moment when they do make a sound that I just nod and smile at them and say, there you are. Say hello to your voice.
So if that's true of individuals, how do you help a choir? You're a vocal coach for the Halle choir. How do you help a choir find its voice? Yeah. And I ask that question because I grew up in our household listening to Mitch Miller and the gang singing all these wonderful old songs. And what struck me, I remember thinking this as probably a 7-year-old, is I cannot hear any one individual voice. How do you achieve that with a choir?
Well, of course, we do have our fantastic choral director, Matthew Hamilton, and he has a fantastic ear and a great knowledge of singing. But when I'm doing warm-ups and exercises with them and trying to encourage them to use techniques, I try and do exercises that cover all the aspects of posture, breathing, resonance, and then producing a sound and doing vocal exercises. But I try and find different ways of covering the same techniques. So sometimes I might add in something that's visual. Sometimes I might combine something in that's more physical. And so that people who take information on board in different ways are then able to grasp what I'm trying to say. And it seems to work that people take on board these techniques and then are able to apply them in the beautiful, fantastic, exciting choral works that we do with the Halle.
Let me ask you about different kinds of musical voices. This is unashamedly personal. I enjoy rock. I love singers like Bruce Springsteen and so on. So what makes a good rock voice?
Well, I must admit that I've never trained a rock singer. I've always said, I was once rung up by somebody who said that they do heavy metal. And did I teach them? I said, I'm afraid I don't teach heavy metal. I think it is important, again, that we always get back to the person's unique voice. And we don't try and make anybody's voice make a sound that isn't actually them. There are some wonderful rock singers. I'm thinking of, if you think of Rod Stewart, Tina Turner, and when you think of Freddie Mercury, and wonderful, wonderful voices, wants to make sure that they keep on using their voice the way that's healthy for them. It is, I think, important to keep people's unique sound as well.
Just one more self-indulgent question, if I may. So Bruce Springsteen has got a kind of gravel to his voice. And I would expect over the years, he's been going for 50 years, he's been singing. I would have expected that to have affected his voice. And yet he is still singing his hits in the same key as he did when he was in his 20s.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Well, I must admit, I don't know. Because the difficulty I have with Bruce, he's marvellous and the music's great and everything else, don't get me wrong, but I do get uncomfortable listening to him because I guess it's an empathetic thing that I start to feel my larynx being affected by his. Right. So I'm afraid I don't tend to listen to him an awful lot. How he does it, it's just remarkable. Some people just have these amazing asbestos chords that somehow cope with things that, people like myself wouldn't be able to cope with vocally.
The next question I want to ask you is one that I think will absolutely intrigue our listeners, Maggie. You talk about seeing music in colour.
Yes.
What do you mean? Do you mean you literally see music in colour?
Yes. Every note that I read is in colour. Every note has its own colour. And I realise that every letter that I read, every number I read has colours. And so, I think as a child, I found maths quite difficult, even though musicians are supposed to find maths really easy. But for me, there were things where the colours just didn't go. And so I got a bit confused in maths. I realised as a teenager, one day in orchestra at school, when the conductor told us that we were playing, to imagine that we were playing a dark chocolate chord in the orchestra. And I burst out laughing, thinking it was ridiculous because it was F major chord, which was mauve, white, and a soft red. So there's no way it was a dark chocolate colour. And I got into trouble for laughing out loud and told to behave myself and everything else. As I cycled home with my friend Susan, she said, "What was that? What made you laugh out loud like that?" And I said, "Well, because it's obvious. It was the wrong colours." And she said, "What do you mean, colours?" So I then found out that nobody I knew actually read music in colour. I've got something I found out much later on in life called synaesthesia. And it means that my brain, which could explain an awful lot about me, that my brain is wired up slightly differently. Right. And it means that I see these colours. But I feel that it's helped me massively in my creative life as a musician. And also that it enables me when I'm listening to sounds as well, that I see colours and textures. So when I work with a voice, I'm not just listening, I'm actually seeing the sound that they produce. Right. And when things are smooth and glowing, then I know that things are working well. If things are really edgy and spiky and funny textures in them, then I know that something's not in the right place. And so that's when I start doing my vocal tweaks to get everything to look the right way as well as sound the right way.
That is amazing. Follow-up question to that. Has that got anything to do with the kind of voice? When you listen to Satchmo singing, what What kind of, is it smooth? Is it spiky?
It's not spiky at all. No, it's not spiky at all. But it's actually very square and kind of chunky. And, oh, yes, it's kind of like fudge.
Do you like his voice?
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah.
That's fascinating. Thank you so much for sharing that. Let's come back to church singing now. When you are getting church congregations as opposed to the Halle choir or whatever to sing, what are you trying to get them to do? What do you want for them to experience from singing in the context of worship?
There are so many people I come across in church situations who say to me, I can't sing. I've never been able to sing. I was chucked out of the school choir. I've recently been doing they're called school assembly bangers, and getting people to come and sing Shine, Jesus, Shine and everything, and have a really great time of just opening their mouths, opening their hearts and singing to the Lord. And to just really let their voices go. That's what's important. I'm not turning them into a choir, no. But we will all sing together and sing our hearts out. I'm seriously concerned about music in worship. And I'd like very much to feel that we could start building up choirs again. I know COVID had such an effect on us. If we could start even singing in 4-part harmony again, that would be fabulous. Maybe that's expecting too much, but it would just be great to get more people singing their hearts out at church. St. Augustine said that when we sing, we are praying twice. Now, for somebody like me, who is a person of faith, to be able to feel that you're praying while you're singing, that means a huge amount to me. And I thought, wow, to have a job where I can do that, a career that I can do that, is absolutely amazing. And I've been very humbled and blessed by it over the years.
Well, I'm glad you are, because other people are. My own experience, and it was behind my inviting you, was from the Music with a Mission workshop, where you got us to work through the physical exercises and then the vocal exercises and then start singing. And for me, the point at which we got to singing was a totally different experience from normal, because we'd used our whole bodies.
Yeah.
And we were involved physically as well as musically in something that was not just putting some words to some sort of music.
Yes,
it was an extraordinary experience, and I thank you for that. But I know also that music for you as a person of faith is integrally part of how you experience God.
Absolutely. Yes.
Would you tell us about what happened to you when you were singing in Bolton for the 50th anniversary of the URC?
I will, but again, people will think I'm very strange, I'm sure. It was part of the service, and I had rehearsed with my lovely pianist, Rosemary, and she started playing the introduction, and I started to sing There's a Place for Us from West Side Story by Bernstein. And it may surprise people to think of that being sung at a church celebration, but the words are so pertinent, especially for right now, about there's a place for us, a place, where we can learn, where we can live, where we can also learn to forgive. All sorts of words like this that I thought, oh, yes, I'm going to do this. And as I was singing it, and as I got to those points in the song, I realized that I was bathed in this kind of golden light, as if I was inside an egg or something. And a golden egg. It was most peculiar and never happened to me before. I quite often kind of get a bit tingly when I hear music and when I sing music. Yes. But I was tingling all over this time. And then my arms became golden somehow in my vision, which was very strange. And then I could also see raisins on my hands. So I thought I was probably very poorly and might not get through the whole song. But in actual fact, I did, and sat down, and then I sang a blessing at the end of the service. But I knew something had happened, and I couldn't get my head round what it was. But then one of the ministers that was on the stage with me, I actually know very well, and so I texted her saying, please, can I have a chat with you? And she got back to me immediately and said, yes, I think I know what it's about, because she had actually witnessed something that was like a blessing on me while I was singing. I think sometimes the word is anointing. I don't want to sound special. It was one of those moments that I just thought it was God telling me that I'm doing his work and that he's with me. And I always know he's with me, but that was a moment when I really felt it very, very strongly. And that was where my faith and music and my voice all came together. It's something I will never forget. And forgive me for telling you all about it.
It's not about forgiving you, it's thanking you. It's been a privilege to hear that, and thank you for sharing it with us. Can I go back? We started when I said we know you as somebody who does music within the church context. And we've discovered all these incredible things about you, which you so generously shared with us. How do churches view you? Do they find your kind of professional life difficult to cope with?
I think you might have to ask my church that, but I think they kind of gently put up with me. I think they kindly put up with it. And they totally accept the fact that sometimes, if I am in the congregation rather than up at the front or playing the organ, that I might find myself singing out a bit and trying to lead the whole congregation in the singing. And so they're quite aware of when I'm there, shall we say, and I try and keep it down a bit. But certainly my own church know exactly, and I think they quite like it when I join in and really get them all singing. But outside the church, when I've done concerts and things, but I'm still amazed when I'm asked questions like, well, what's your proper job? And I think, well, you've just heard me do my proper job.
Well, Maggie, I want to say a heartfelt thank you for coming in and sharing your stories. And
my nonsense and stuff as well. Oh dear.
It's not nonsense. It's about ministry, isn't it? Because music is your ministry. And I know that sometimes you find that difficult to acknowledge because you feel it sounds somehow arrogant. But what you need to do, if I may give you some advice.
Yes, please do. Please do.
Listen to people who say to you, Maggie, when you were singing or when you were leading worship, we experienced God. We experienced God through the gift of music that the Holy Spirit so clearly has given you. And I want to say thank you, and I want to wish you every blessing on your ministry. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, and thank you for listening. You've now reduced me to tears, but thank you very much for those blessings. Thank you. Thank you.